Oh no!
Now, this is a video that I've wanted to do for quite some time. I've been putting it off, but by this point, I just want to put it out there now, because why not, I guess. Now, for the extremely few of you, you might know that some of the very first videos that I've done on my channel were related to the Sonic comics. Now, let's take a look of how it was years ago.
Knuckles Archive.
Wow, holy shit, that was bad. But I don't even really think it's a secret by this point, but I am a pretty huge Sonic fan. So much so that I went out of my way to read the comics when I was younger. Also, I hope you don't mind the footage that I'm using. It's just me going through all the comics that I have of the series, but anyway, I've wanted to make a video looking back and giving the comics a proper review, so to speak, I suppose. Though hearing that Sonic the Hedgehog has a comic series to begin with might not sound all that interesting or just sounds completely bad, especially how the internet is dealing with the latest news of him. But I'm gonna be honest, I kinda like the comics and the stories that were made from them. It's honestly a guilty pleasure. I didn't mind so much that I would read the issues in public, at school, middle school no less, the worst time of growing up. Of course, reading them, I was always kinda getting questioned and made fun of by other kids and my friends. You get used to it. They would always ask, why are the characters naked? And you know, I never really had a proper answer to that one. But the main point of why I read them is because I love dropping these bombs of topics that come from the comics. For example, Knuckles in the comics blew himself up and killed himself by accident, because he was too powerful. Like, I love how I know that information, and not many do. Even to my friends, when I tell them that, they have to do a double take upon hearing that. It's amazing. Or another where they make the concept of an evil Sonic into his own character, and he ended up being one of my favorite characters, making a pretty kick-ass story of the Babylon Rogues from the Riders series of all places, and having Eggman lock his own nephew up in a small cage in a basement to rot and die. That's so cool. I love it. It's just these stories that I don't think that would work, but they actually end up making them work. That's what I really like about them. And I just kind of kept going on and on and on and just kept reading the issues and even buying them when I found out that they were in my town. And another thing that I can appreciate more since I've been interested into as I've gotten older is the art style. Sometimes, like, forget Steven Universe and its whole consistencies, like every 5 to 10 issues, there was someone new drawing the main story, and sometimes they just don't work. At least for Sonic. It may sound like nothing, but guys, I need you to know that there's over 300 issues from the main issues and the side issues that still technically count. It gets a little distracting, to say the least, but there are times where the style does fit and look pretty cool, or way past cool. Some of my favorite artists throughout the issues being Pat Spaz from the earlier stories. It was like a mix of Sad AM, which really worked, and his later style on the covers themselves are pretty bitchin' actually. Not entirely sure why, but I know I do enjoy Stephen Butler's style a lot. Probably due to the amount of detail that he could add just to one page and panel, though this leads to a smaller artist who does the same thing that I've noticed recently actually, that being Jeff Axer. He's great with his work. He just puts so much detail into it when he really doesn't have to, and I just find it pleasing to look at. Last artist that I can mention is that I love Tracy Yardley, who did a big portion of the comics art. He's pretty much the main artist for pretty much all of the stories. A very well blend of a simple style that works for Sonic. In this case, less is more. You're not disturbed by the amount of art on a panel or page. It's great. Though there sadly came a point where I stopped buying and even reading the comics, because I eventually started picking up that a lot of the characters, main characters included, were starting to change drastically in the story, and even worse, be completely taken out. And I caught on to that and heard that they were going to be doing a universe reboot for the series. And that just did not work for me because they stopped using and plain out took out some of the cooler and interesting characters, at least to me. Then years later, I find out that this whole lawsuit thing happened. And to cut it super short as much as I can, one of the writers from the comics, Ken Penders, saying that name fills me with disgust. This dude legit pulled a original character Do Not Steal. He was mostly in charge of a lot of Knuckles' story and ended up putting in so many new Echidna characters for his stories. And when Sonic Chronicles came out, yes, it's a game, he said that Sega quote-unquote stole his characters from the Echidna characters that were introduced in that game. It sounds really dumb. The worst part is that he actually fucking won somehow. And that's why all characters that were exclusively introduced in the comics, gone. Archie cannot legally use them. This leads to many plot points and stories left hanging, so many cool characters wiped away with a Thanos snap, and the whole story had to change. And it was just boring from that point, and I know a good number of fans stopped by that moment. The Archie comics actually didn't last too long after the reset, and they kind of recently ended the comic overall. But the idea of Sonic being in a comic is not dead, because he lives on through IDW now, and I've heard that they're pretty good. I wouldn't mind reading them. I think they need a couple of more issues so I can kind of binge them, because that's what I pretty much did when I was younger. So yeah, this was pretty much just a video that I really wanted to make, talking about, you know, one of the many things that I kind of liked. It was almost a hobby for me when I was really younger, when I was starting to collect the comics, reading them every day. It was a really fun time. So, yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comments below about the Archie Sonic comics and even the Universe ones, because I kind of count those with those. They're these side stories that pretty much affect the main story. So let me know what you think about those comics. Have any questions, comments, or concerns, or any other discussion topics you guys want me to talk about? I'll try to answer them the best I can. All the links that I provide, you know what to do with them, all that fun stuff. Thank you for watching. That's greatly appreciated. Have a great day, have a great night, and everything else, you know what to do. Bye.